on the first list, I'm just going to put these all out here because honestly, I think this room is doesn't necessarily fall into this category. We all see it. We all see it's a big thing. It's transformative. We're not quite sure how, but okay. You say things like it's a fad, but you've heard other people do this, right? Especially in large organizations or like, corporate CTOs who like haven't touched a computer in years. Right? So they do things like they declare AI as a fad. They don't try the things themselves. You might stand for it. You might say, like, AI is never going to replace me, obviously, because maybe it'll replace everyone else, but not me because I'm special, and we know this, right? Refuse to use the tools because you're an artiste. I am a coder. An AI can never replicate the beauty of my code and the flow of it. Look, I've had people come in for interviews like, they come in with their, mechanical keyboards and their Vim bindings and all that kind of stuff and like ready to go. And especially over this past year, I realized, my God, we're not hiring for this anymore. We really are trying to find people who know how to use it, not necessarily know how to use these tools because nobody really does right now. They're changing every 10 minutes, but at least have the awareness of, okay, there's something special here. I can't apply my past 25 years of experience to this. I need to come up with something new. And the good engineers will recognize this. Okay, this one's more for the enterprise types out there, right? So you can actively downskill your employees, basically, over this. And I get it, in regulated industries, it's hard to know how to use this stuff properly, how not to make a mess, how not to have regulators at you. But really what you need to do is you make sure that your employees stay up to date with all the latest technologies, as long as they're not actually latest technologies. Do things like say, there's a blanket ban for AI for the whole company. And the number of actual developers who I've interviewed who come in and say, well, I've never used AI in my job because I'm not allowed to, that's scary at this point. Because basically what you're doing, you might have no AI policy, or you might say the blanket ban, you shove it underground, and your employees are going to use it anyways. So basically, you've lost control of it. Another good strategy here is you keep your hiring as usual. Don't adjust. Don't look for kind of skill with using the AI or tools. Keep doing your lead code interviews, which I've always been stupid. Now they're particularly stupid because if you want to hire an engineer, I can't really speak for other disciplines, but trying to hire an engineer, you actually have a really good tool here because you can get them to vibe code something and then actually watch their thought trace and see whether they're actually interacting it at an engineering level or whether they're just saying, make me a website and going, yeah, okay. So that's actually a really good tool. Maybe you can think about using that. Well, basically what you're doing is you make your employees so useless that they'll have to stick around because they'll be useless to everybody else at that point. So you get to keep all the staff that nobody else wants. Okay. Another thing you can do is you can dig in harder, obviously. So not necessarily deny it exists, but go really, really hard on being protectionist about your existing product because you don't quite know what to do with it with respect to AI. That image there, I have no idea. Is that like a whale tongue or is it like a sled? I have no idea. Like, I one-shot these things and put them there without thinking about them too hard. Okay, so protect your existing business model, right? So you have a SaaS company, a SaaS product. You want to make sure AI can never use this thing. You want to be sure all your users have to access through whatever shitty UI you just spent millions putting together. At the end, you're going to use it no matter what, despite the fact that an AI can now generate a new UI, no problem. It's like it's no longer remote. This is one we're starting to see quite a bit. You totally cut off access to agents for your API. You basically say, no agents here, thank you very much. Don't update your APIs to allow agentic use to use it or be used or flourish there. And you can get Cloudflare involved to totally just block people, ban people from the internet if they try to use an agent against your gorgeous product. We see that's starting to happen as well. So basically, and yeah, continue building walled gardens around stuff, trying to protect the wrong things. Software is getting a lot cheaper, if you've probably noticed to this point. So AI can generate the UI just as well as you could. It could generate your SaaS product, and what's more, it can probably generate a better SaaS product very specific to the company who's actually trying to run it. So sovereign stacks are a thing. SaaS products, Sean had plenty to say about that earlier. It's just a database or a human interface into a database. If you have an AI interface into a database, the future's going to look quite a bit different. Okay, so that's the first track. So second track is just completely fake it. Everyone kind of recognizes this at this point, what's going on here. This is Microsoft adding an AI key to the keyboard, right? Does anyone here work at Microsoft, by the way? Anything like that? Okay, that's good, good. So stuff like the A and I keys in the keyboard are all you need. Basically what's happening here is like engineering is out of ideas, so that's okay. The marketing department is there to pick up the slack, and this is what they come up with, right? So rename your, so you have the keyboard. You might have your product and you put that little star thing in there to say, oh, look, there's AI here. Even though the AI is just, you threw some LLM into the place and didn't actually bother integrating it with anything in any useful way. You say things like, we've been all about AI since, I don't know, we were doing ML. We've been doing it since before it was cool. Add the star button thing. I'll get into that point in a second. But one anecdote, I was at a conference a few weeks ago, and there was a company there. We've heard about MCP, right? There was a whole big thing about MCP. But the way this company had just like put MCP all through everything, all their marketing materials, all the MCP, fully bought into this. The thing's been out for about like 3 months before that, and it's a really unproven technology, on a kind of very shaky ground. So you see quite a bit of that. This last point here, transitive wow property. I didn't really have a good name for this. I should have probably let the LLM do this. But what I'm saying here is that it is possible to take your product, do something very small to it, and then add the LLM on top of it. And what's actually, you show it to people and they go, wow, that's great. How did that happen? That's amazing. And you're maybe showing this to people who don't quite understand AI or LLMs too much. So really all you're doing is taking credit for what the LLM is doing and adding it into your product, and people go, wow, wow, wow. You know? And that's the thing. It's a strategy. You can do that. Watch out for it. Oh, wrong button. Okay, so into the hugging the chainsaw portion. Embrace all the hype. You've probably seen this around at some point. This is the San Francisco company going all in on, we're going to replace all the humans. And guys, you're not supposed to say this part out loud. Like, this is the quiet bit that you think, you don't actually say this. I think Salesforce went this way a little bit a while ago, but they stopped and pulled back a little bit. So AI native and AI naive at the same time is a combination. Show your employees org charts with the agents in the middle of them. Maybe as a bonus, have your people say they're going to be reporting into an agent. They love this stuff. They really love this when you do this. Like that. Okay, I do a whole other presentation about vibe coding around various meetups, so I'm not going to go into it in too much detail here. As I said earlier, like, vibe coding is an emerging skill. Nobody quite knows how to do it properly at this point because tools are changing. There's no real strategies. There's actually there's a Dublin Slack that we started up to try and get vibe coders together, well, engineers together rather, to figure out all of this stuff. But yeah, what you don't want to do is have people just go in and vibe code stuff and say, look what I made, and I have no idea what to do with it afterwards or how to maintain it. Like, that's, you do see that quite a bit as well. And yeah, this whole notion of, we don't have to have all the engineering we had for the past 100 years because this new AI thing is going to do all of this as well. And you've probably all seen variants of this over the past few months anyhow. MCP, everything I talked about a little bit. Okay, another variation of this, I'm calling it think one token ahead. First dimensional thinking, first order thinking, whatever you want to call it. It's really look at the scene of AI and then do the really obvious thing that everyone else is doing and throw your whole company into it, or mortgage your house and go into it, right? So this is for startups or product managers who just jump into it. I'm doing agents for this industry. I'm doing agents for insurance, agents for startups, agents for musical teachers. Okay, look, the problem here is like all of this stuff is really obvious, thin applications of AI on top of something. And those are really, really, there's no moat around these things. Anybody can do them in a month. So you build a thin wrapper on ChatGPT. Some major player, maybe ChatGPT themselves, will knock you out pretty quickly. You can do this quickly, so can everyone else, right? I think that's a pretty obvious one anyhow. Lazily insert the AI thing into your very SaaS product. Okay, like I said, it's a bit thrown together, so I'm going to there. Oh, this one. Okay, this one is going to cause some issues here. AI agents that drive user interfaces that then do the thing in the system. Guys, no, come on, this is not the way forward. This is like basically saying to the AI, now use the human way of going into the database, basically. And then they have this big chain, AI human thing database. this is not the way forward. Like, we should be building our systems to talk directly to the APIs and fixing the backends so that agentic AI has proper access to it. Now, it's impressive when it works, and it makes a great demo. Look, the thing is using my browser, my email, it booked me tickets, fine. It's also really expensive. And that's another thing that's not necessarily obvious today, but the more you think about it, I think it's going to become a factor, as in VCs are basically funding LLM use right now, as in there's a lot of subsidized use. You're not paying market value for LLM tokens, basically. And as the industry progresses, demand increases. There's one hardware company out there who has to build a lot of video cards to keep up with all of this, and so this is probably unsustainable. So you really need to find ways to not use the LLM effectively. Anyhow, yeah, I haven't got a clue what the future's going to bring. I think that's apparent now. Yeah, okay. But what you can do is listen to people who've seen this before, right? I'll take it all the way back. So we have AI, blockchains, iPads. Remember, every kid was going to have an iPad. Yeah, how did that go? Mobile, .com, internet, home computing, and like there was a time when like everyone as a monkey was making a calculator, like, and that was the next big thing before all this. So, you've been around these cycles a few times. Listen to people who've seen this before. Don't listen to the 20-year-olds in San Francisco screaming about how this is going to replace everything. Again, this room, I think, probably knows this for the most part, so forgive me if I'm condescending here. And now, oh yeah, chainsawing for the discerning enterprise. Dueling C-suite paralysis. Your CEO is going, we need to do something about AI, and the CTO goes, oh, okay. And then the CIO goes, no, you're not touching anything. So you have this kind of paralysis here. Obviously, there's regulations and issues, and you don't expose your data and let an agent loose in the middle of the thing. That's fine. And I think that's going on a lot in enterprises right now. You see stuff like this, 80 to 90% of AI rollouts are failing. I think they're failing because we just haven't had enough time for anyone to do this properly. Anyone who thinks they've done an enterprise rollout of anything with AI at this point hasn't. They've thrown some AI on top of stuff that was already there without thinking to fix, repair, verify the underlying architecture is correct first. Also out of time, I'm going to rush through this. Don't do the grammar required. This is something everyone does. You assume the AI reads your mind and also reads your business's mind as well. That's not the case. Like, it's easy to make an AI do something, say, oh, that didn't work, that's just incorrect. But it's all about context management in an enterprise. Context management is making sure your APIs and knowledge is all lined up and in the right place to be able to feed it into the agents to do something useful. And you also fail to find the right box for it. The last thing anyone wants to do is take an agent and just fling it in and go nuts on your systems, right? We have to find ways to put the AI in the right box, have it do the stuff it's good at, which I think is banging against a problem until it finds a way through. When that problem is solved, you can record that somehow, make that deterministic, reproducible, testable, all of those things, right? So, and yeah, don't test evals, all that kind of stuff. That's all, that doesn't sell very well, but that's really, really important in this. And here's some stuff that sells exactly what I was just talking about, which is there. This is what we do at Gentic. I won't go into the sales pitch here, but if you're interested, talk to me afterwards. And I think that's it. I'm a minute over time. Thank you very much.
Thanks for that, Michael. Our next speaker, he's traveled across the seas, hailing all the way from London, widely recognized for his work on behavior-driven development and for coining the term deliberate discovery. Daniel Turhis North is known for his unique combination of wit, intellect,